Happy Towel Day, you hoopy froods. What's up? How you doing, punk family? Today is a very special day for me. Uh, Towel Day is a celebration of the life of one Douglas Adams, my favorite author, and the author of the aptly titled Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Heck, even my one and only tattoo is the sub ether thumb in the planet logo with the words "Don't Panic" in large friendly letters right on my shoulder. Now, before we get into gaming today, I wanted to read the prologue to the first book. Does that sound good to everybody? Alrighty. Let me just get this open. Kind of hot up here again. Alright. I think I have just about everything in order. And we shall begin. Far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy lies a small, unregarded yellow sun. Orbiting this, at a distance of roughly 92 million miles, is an utterly insignificant little blue-green planet whose ape-descended lifeforms are so amazingly primitive that they still think digital watches are a pretty neat idea. The planet has, or rather had, a problem, which was this. Most of the people on it were unhappy for pretty much all of the time. Many solutions were suggested for this problem, but most of these were largely concerned with the movements of small green pieces of paper, which is odd because on the whole, it was not these small green pieces of paper that were unhappy. And so the problem remained. Lots of the people were mean, and most of them were miserable, even the ones with digital watches. Many were increasingly of the opinion that they'd all made a big mistake in coming down from the trees in the first place, and some said that even the trees had been a bad move and that no one should have ever left the oceans. And then, one Thursday, nearly 2,000 years after one man had been nailed to a tree for saying how great it would be to be nice to people for a change, one girl, sitting on her own in a small cafe in Rickmansworth, suddenly realized what it was that had been going wrong all this time. And she finally knew how the world could be made a good and happy place. This time it was right, it would work, and no one would have to get nailed to anything. If they didn't want to. Sadly, however, before she could get to a phone to tell anyone about it, a terribly stupid catastrophe occurred, and the idea was lost forever. This is not her story, but it is the story of that terrible stupid catastrophe and some of its consequences. It is also the story of a book called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Not an Earth book, never published on Earth, and until the terrible catastrophe happened, never seen or heard of by any Earthman. Nevertheless, a wholly remarkable book. In fact, it was probably the most remarkable book ever to come out of the great publishing houses of Ursa Minor, of which no Earthman had ever heard of either. Not only is it a wholly remarkable book, it is also a highly successful one. More popular than the Celestial Home Care Omnibus, better selling than 50 More Things to Do in Zero Gravity, and more controversial than Ulan Kalufit's trilogy of philosophical blockbusters, Where God Went Wrong, Some More of God's Greatest Mistakes, and Who Is This God Person Anyway? In many of the more relaxed civilizations on the outer eastern rim of the galaxy, the Hitchhiker's Guide has already supplanted the great Encyclopedia Galactica as the standard depository of all knowledge and wisdom. For though it has many omissions and contains much that is apocryphal or at least wildly inaccurate, it scores over the older and more pedestrian work in two important respects. First, it is slightly cheaper, and secondly, it has the words "Don't Panic" inscribed in large, friendly letters on its cover. But the story of this terrible, stupid Thursday, the story of its extraordinary consequences, and the story of how these consequences are inextricably intertwined with this remarkable book begins very simply. It begins with a house. Now, I'm not going to read the whole book because, it's already bad enough I played a cover of the theme song for the movie, TV show, radio play, etc. But if you've never read it before, I do suggest that you read it. It is an amazing book. The movie's pretty decent, and there are a lot of things in the movie that only make sense if you've read the book or seen the TV show or heard some of the radio plays. The book is the easiest to come by and the easiest to get through. There's five books by Douglas himself, and then after he died, the sixth book was written by Owen Colfer, author of Artemis Fowl. I haven't read that one because I honestly it ended decently after the fifth book anyway. It is. It was originally three books. It was referred to as a trilogy in five parts because there's five books now. But if you can find the radio plays, they are phenomenal. The TV show is hilarious. It's like classic Doctor Who. It's hilarious and low budget and ridiculous and amazing. But any way you can experience it is perfect. It's fine. I recommend it. Anyway, today we're going to be playing Final Fantasy 14.